Hello there everyone. First off, thank you all so much for letting There's a Very Big Bug reach over 165k views. That's insane. I never expected that to happen. I made that video for fun. That's all it was for fun. And I was perfectly content with that video getting swept under the rug by the algorithm and no one ever seeing it. I was fine with that. Except the algorithm decided not to do that and did the opposite of that and showed it to a bunch of people, and now it's reached over 100k views, and that's insane. That is insane, and I'm happy about that, but it still feels like a fever dream almost. And I'm really grateful that people saw the video, decided to watch it, and enjoyed the video. Just thank you so much for that. That is just, it really does. I don't know, it just makes me really happy to know that people enjoy that, people enjoy my dumb sense of humour and enjoy my silly little characters. So yeah, this video, getting off track and I'm rambling, this video is going to be basically, people showed interest in my OCs, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be neat if, because I will talk about my OCs anyway, wouldn't it be neat if whenever I drew my OCs, I'd record the process, but instead of just throwing music on it and leaving it at that, as a regular speed paint, what if I did the terrifying thing of recording myself talking about the OC and upload it for everyone to see? So that's what I'm doing. So the character I'm going to be talking about in this video is called Angelos, or Angel for short. Angel is one of the many characters of mine that is from my story-driven project called Old But New. This project is set in a fantasy world that is going through its own version of the Victoria era, essentially. So it's a world where leaps are being made in both technology and science, but that technology and science is mixed with magic. And that can result in, well, that does result in some interesting discoveries and inventions, such as the homunculi. Now, the homunculi or homunculus is a name given to any creature that is artificially created, not born, and Angel is one of those such creatures. There are several different kinds of them in my world. You can get dog-like ones, you can get horribly grotesque Frankenstein's monster sort of stuff, and Angel is of the more humanoid variant that can be made, which are actually illegal in many of the countries of my world. The reason why humanoid homunculi are illegal in so many countries is because they have human level intelligence, and that causes problems in the long run. An example of that being they gain an understanding of wanting equal rights and all the good stuff that comes with that, and how many of these kingdoms and countries would rather deal with that is to preferably just not deal with it at all, so creating them is outlawed in many places. Why would you have to deal with a problem if you could just make sure that problem doesn't exist in the first place? So if humanoid homunculi are outlawed, then the question gets asked, who created Angel? That's where we start to talk about Rafe a little bit. Rafe is a character of mine who will get his own video one day, hopefully, but I'll talk about him for a little bit in this video to get an understanding of Angel. He's one of the main antagonists of my story, and he's essentially the mad scientist of my world. I'll flash up a picture of him very quickly on the screen. You've probably noticed he looks very odd and it's very tall. That's because he's actually been cursed with this old type of curse that causes one to grow into sort of like this grotesquely elongated, lanky sort of monster. And essentially his whole goal in life is to find a cure for that, but how he goes about finding said cure for said curse is in the worst ways possible. He's not afraid to break the law to get what he wants, and creating a type of homunculi that is outlawed in many parts of the world is by no means the worst thing he has done. He has done so much worse. Now, living outside the law can sometimes lead to quite a lonely existence, so part of the reason for creating Angel was to have someone help him around the lab, offer a level of protection, and also just to have someone in his life, because this man literally has no one else. To Angel, Rafe is their whole world, essentially. They're the only person they have known throughout their whole life whilst living in isolation and on the run. Because of that, they are unaware of the fact that a lot of what Rafe does on a daily basis is not right by any means, but they don't have an example to work with. They don't have any other example in their life to help them figure out that what Rafe is doing is wrong. That's why when I eventually get around to writing my story, hopefully one day, Angel is actually an antagonist for the first half of it, because Angel, it's not a case of Angel is malicious to the protagonist in any way. It's just a case of they don't know any better. But over the story, as Angel comes into contact with more of my other characters and meets more people and starts to see more of the world outside of just Rafe, they start to gain a better understanding of what is right and what is wrong, and start to come to recognize eventually how much of a monster Rafe is. But it's not going to be easy, and it's just like, oh, essentially my father figure is bad, I will just leave him. It's not that easy. It's a case of Angel is still going to deeply love Rafe as a father figure, essentially, but they are going to become very aware that Rafe is not a good person, and that is going to cause a bit of an existential crisis for poor Angel down the road. I do love my OCs, I swear. It's just a form of loving your OC. You give them a bunch of trauma and existential crises. I mean, that's just how it works, right? Angel is, the best way I can describe Angel is that they are a very quiet character. They're more of a seen but not be heard character, at least at the beginning of the story. As the story goes on and they meet more different characters outside of Rafe, and they gain a better understanding of the world around them and become more confident in themselves, they will start to be more vocal in their thoughts, their feelings, and basically just sort of like stand up to Rafe also, essentially, because before they're very sort of like, yes sir, I'll do this sir, and it's like, but as the story goes on and they're like, no, I think what you're doing is wrong, they will start to stand up to Rafe, and Rafe will first be shocked by that, but also become kind of suspicious about that, because it's sort of like, you weren't always like this before, why do you suddenly disapprove of what I'm doing? Who have you been talking to? Which brings forward a whole new slew of new conflicts for the story. Yay! I love conflict. In fiction, not in real life. Oh dear god, no, I don't like conflict in real life. Two of the main characters that are going to be responsible for Angel getting a better understanding of, so like, oh, what Rafe does is wrong, and you know, there's other stuff so like out there in the world for them, is actually Rain, which is kind of funny because the two animatics I have uploaded include Rain being terrorized by Angel, and I just find that kind of funny. Yes, when the story starts off, they are very opposing to each other. Rafe has issues with Rain, so as a result, Angel has issues with Rain. But as the story goes on and they come more into different conflicts at multiple different times, they start to get a better understanding of each other. Like, Rain is a very compassionate character and she will help someone who is in need, so there will be scenarios where, I don't know, Angel gets injured or something and Rain will help them out of that situation, and Angel's going to be stuck like, hey, why did you help me? That was kind of weird, I was just trying to kill you 5 minutes ago. And it's little bits of that dotted everywhere where Angel starts to, you know, the cogs in their head start turning as to like, huh, maybe I don't have the full picture here, because people that I have been told to kill happy to help me, but why? And then the second character that is going to have a major role in so like their development is actually another homunculus. His placeholder name is just Storm for now. I'll probably come up with a new, better name in the future. If not, I'll just stick with Storm. He's a homunculus that was created, and he ran away from his creator, and he's been on the run since then. I'll flash a picture up of him very quickly. His design is mostly figured out, it's just the patterns on his fur that I want to change up a little bit, but for the most part, this is what he looks like. He's had a... how do I describe it? He's had a difficult life, you know, most of it, well, no, not most of it, a good majority of it has been spent on the run, because homunculi go for loss of money, so like they're not supposed to exist. So if a bounty hunter were to find one, you'd get quite a hefty amount of money for catching one of those homunculi that are not supposed to exist. So Storm is essentially Storm essentially is kind of the opposite of Rain. He's not so like, oh, I show no compassion to anyone ever, but he's very so like, you can't trust people, kid. Don't, because you need to be wary. If you're not wary, you get killed in this life. And he's also very sort of, well, he ran away from his creator for his own reasons, so when he meets this other homunculus, who is still living with their creator, he's very like, hey, you should leave this guy and come enjoy freedom with me, or on your own, it's your, you know, whichever you want. But he's not pushy about it. Well, he is pushy about it, but it's not a case of so like, he understands, he's respectful of Angel constantly so like being like, no, I don't want to like run away from essentially my father figure, because they do love their father figure, Rafe, and that answer does always annoy Storm, but at the same time, Storm is respectful about their decision and will not force them to leave Rafe. He would prefer if they did, but at the end of the day, he is not going to force Angel to do that, and will leave Angel to make their own decisions in life. He can just only stand there and hope that Angel will make the right choices for themselves. So that is Angel for the most part. The drawing and painting process for this piece you've seen being worked on in this video in the background took about 5.5 hours looking at the recordings here, and that was spread over about 3 days, so yeah. The drawing and the painting process for the piece you have seen being worked on in this video took about 5.5 hours when I look at the recordings, and that was spread over about 3 days, although about an hour and a half or 2 hours of that was spent messing around at the beginning. You might have noticed that in the video where I was just sort of trying to paint but failing, and eventually it got to a point where I realised I needed to put down line art. Clean line art in order to give myself a good reference point to then paint with, because I'm actually more used to line art. That's my usual art style. My usual art style involves line art and flat shading and flat colours, and so painting isn't my usual style, but I wanted to give it a go for this piece. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found maybe some of the lore a little bit interesting. And I'll be wishing you all a good day. Bye bye!